We're at our loft in Minneapolis where we make our video productions, and we're going to see Alex demonstrate highlighting techniques. And there hasn't been anything in our industry that's changed as radically in the last 5 years as hair color, and it's going to continue. There's probably another 5 or 10 years of development, and what I mean by that is expansion of the customer base of clients who want to move into hair color. And it's not something that's limited just to our female customers. Many of our male customers and many of our younger male and female customers are moving into hair color. Lots of different types of color, whether it's extreme, whether it's subtle, whether it's foil, whether it's full color. It's just about the full gamut. Everybody is interested in trying it, but when anything becomes mass, it takes a while for people to be very comfortable. What you've got to do is watch and see what's happening at the extreme end of fashion. And I mean by the extreme end of fashion, street fashion. And then you see what starts to show up in the magazines. And then it's on the billboards, and then it becomes everywhere. As people see that, they start to move towards it. And it becomes just a progressive movement, which eventually becomes, as I would describe, mass fashion. And I think we're probably about halfway through that phase. So we have a tremendous opportunity, not only to improve our color business, but from an individual standpoint, to improve our lifestyle. Because after all, the more professional we are, the more we know about color, the more comfortable we are with it, we'll be able to be more successful as stylists, and financially we'll be more successful. So invest the time in yourself. And that's what you do when you take a video, you play it, you watch it, you see something you're not 100% comfortable with, you practice it. It doesn't become the videos, it becomes your technique. Once you've learned something, you've taken it either from some other form of information like a tape, or from someone in the salon who can do something a little bit better than you. Learn it, learn how to do it, it becomes your technique. The more techniques you have in your vocabulary, the more successful you'll be. So let's join Alex. Thanks.
Before we begin our foiling technique, I'd like you to take a look at our setup that I have prepared here for foils. Now, I think it's very important to lay all your products out in an organized fashion. Have your foils, if you're going to use pre-cut foils, have those already prepared. And I prefer using a tint comb rather than a rat tail comb, just because I'm able to get more attention to detail when I'm weaving, or slicing for that matter. I have my clips laid out, a towel in case I get product onto my hands so they don't start burning, and also I have my product pre-mixed right before I begin my foiling process. Now, with Sarah's hair, she came in and is in need of a foil retouch. The steps that I'm going to be showing would be exactly the same if we were doing a virgin application where she has no color on her hair, but the only difference being is that instead of just retouching her regrowth here, I would bring the product all the way from root to end. But let me begin by showing you the first section. Now, I think in our profession, it's very important to find techniques where you work smarter and not harder. So you'll be seeing in this forthcoming technique that I am going to be taking angles all over her head in diagonal sections. That way, I give the illusion that I'm actually doing more work than I'm actually doing. So I wind up having anywhere that she looks in her head of foils, she'll see highlighted areas, especially underneath here. A lot of clients request that they have their foils underneath, so if they wear their hair up for sports activities or for an updo, that they can have some highlights underneath. Okay, to begin, I take my diagonal section. I'm going to slice out a section of hair. So I'm working with just a slight amount of hair, enough that I'm able to actually see through. And then I begin my weaving fairly close to the scalp because I have more control of it that way. I pull the top portion off, hold this in between my hands, grab my foil, doesn't matter what side of the foil that I use, flip it over my comb, insert my foil, take some product and apply it in the middle of the foil. Now what that does, it's going to hold the product in place. I'm going to take my 2 fingers up here and hold the foil from the top and just feather that product up to the edge of the foil. I don't want to bring it so far up to the edge that the foil begins to, the product bleeds out of the foil. So you have to be kind of careful up here on top with your application. A lot of times I just tap the product on and turn it and just feather it onto the ends. I try not to overlap too much on the already pre-lightened hair. I take my foil and I just straighten it out in the middle, pushing the pre-lightened hair out of the way, making sure that my 2 ends actually meet. Now, I never want to press down on the foil here at the regrowth area. I like to fold it up twice and keep my foils really neat. And then I go on to the next section, which will be about 1/4 of an inch away from my last section. I take another section, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same process. Slice, weave out my hair that I want to highlight, pull the top layer off, place my comb on the bottom of the foil, flip it over, insert the foil, apply product to the middle. Now, as you see, the foil is just going to sit there by itself. You see, what people do actually mistakenly is they grab the foil from underneath as they're applying it. What happens is then that pulls the foil away from the root area. I actually have total control of the foil once that color is placed on it. So now if I want to adjust this and bring that foil closer to the scalp, I could just pull on the pre-lightened hair where I haven't foiled over, place my fingers up on top, and again, like I said, tap and turn. Don't apply too much product right at the edge of the foil. Feather it onto the pre-lightened hair. Move that hair out of the way. Fold it in the middle. Make sure both ends meet, but not squishing down on the foil. And tuck the edges in. Now that I've completed this section, I'm going to go over, do the same thing on the other side, and then come back for our next start point. Okay, for our second start point, what I'm going to do is just get some of this hair out of the way. I'm going to take a section here, nice clean parting, right by her temple. Clip that out of the way. And again, I'm working around the perimeter of her hair. I'm going to take a section on an angle, on a diagonal. I'm going to leave her hairline out just a bit because I don't want to do foils right on her hairline. What winds up happening as the hair starts growing out, it starts looking really fake. So again, I'm going to slice the section and then weave. Now here's a commonly asked question. Can I just slice the section and not weave it? Absolutely. But I think it's important to master one technique that works for you. And then add your signature to it. See how I'm feathering down on the pre-lightened hair? Again, fold it in the middle, create a crease, move the pre-lightened hair out of the way, make sure both the ends meet. Same thing, about 1/4 of an inch from the tip of her ear to her temple area. Slice the section, weave the section. Apply in the middle. Look at that, it's glued on there. I could just come up at top, tap and turn, crease it, pull my hair off to the side, not applying pressure at the root. Now again, I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, and I'll take you up to where we begin our next start point. Okay, with our next section, I'm going to have the hair parted off behind her ears. And I know this sectioning seems a little unorthodox, but it really works great as far as getting those hairs all sliced in there so you have a lot of different looks as far as where the foils are going to be seen. Okay, so I take it in a V parting. So really this section goes right from behind her ear just straight down to that point would be right at the top of her occipital. Now, instead of leaving it a point there, I'm just going to slice right across and begin working my foils from this section up to her crown area. And using the same procedure as in our preceding sections. Again, I'm going to fold it creased right in the middle. Now, if I was doing a virgin application or hair that had never been highlighted before, I would just bring the product straight through to the ends, wind it up in my foil, and fold it the same exact way. And again, the application, if you're applying the hair, apply it first in the middle, then up on top, and then almost use your brush like you're eating spaghetti. I mean, you just twirl it onto your brush. I'm going to fold up this foil, continue on to the crown area, and then come back for our next start point. This would be the most important start point. First thing, it's right in front, so everyone's going to see it. Another thing is, again, like I had said earlier, you don't want to highlight right on her hairline. So I'm going to have to drop some hair out. And I'm also, as I'm taking these sections across the shape of her head, taking them on a diagonal, I'm also going to, at some point, have to make a transition where I go from this diagonal to a horizontal. Let me show you. First section. So our weaving technique and application technique is consistent throughout the whole entire process. I might want to weave a little bit finer sections here in the front, just so they're not too dramatic. And again, her hair is a bit finer there as well. So I want this to look as natural as possible. So here, this is taken on a diagonal. As I move up to the top of her head, I'm going to start bringing those foils a bit straighter. So I'm taking pieces from the front and pieces from this hair here, which has not yet been highlighted. You can see how quickly this application can be done. After this foil, what I'd like to do is have you join me once I start making that transition to horizontal sectioning. Okay, this section I'm just going to show you quickly is where we make a horizontal transition. And now, as you see, I took my parting straight across, and I'm going to begin the same process and continue this up right through to the parting. After I complete this foil, I'm going to finish up this section and complete the other section, and then show you what the foils look like completed and right before I shampoo them. Okay, let's once again review the sectioning. On the bottom of her hairline, we took 2 diagonal sections on each side, came around to her front hairline, took diagonals coming straight up here, just 2 sections, then moved back here to right above the occipital. Took sections up into the crown. Then, most importantly, right around her face, we made a transition from a diagonal section right up to horizontal. As far as the processing time, you could do this same technique using color or using other products that can go under the hair dryer for processing. We chose a powder lightener, and that's just going to be a visual check. So if you're using those other products, just check the manufacturer's instructions for the processing time. I'm going to get her shampooed and then remove just a few inches off the perimeter length of her hair, and I'm going to refer to the classic Bob video as far as my sectioning. Okay, I've gotten some shine product and I've worked it through in my hands. I'm going to take Sarah's hair and I'm going to kind of pull it into a ponytail. And what this does, in effect, is really reduce any little bit of frizziness in her hair. I'm just going to take a look at her finished look here, which I think is really pretty. Now, what's most important that I want you to gather out of this video is that foiling techniques are such a necessity in today's salon market. In fact, our clients demand that we have great technical skills with it. And the key to it really is just practice. And if you follow the techniques on this video and just repeat them time and time again, along with that will come your speed, and everything will flow much easier for you. So what I recommend, again, is follow the steps on the video, put your own personal signature to it, and make it your own. Thanks a lot.